Hi there and welcome to Gaining Vision. I'm Melanie. Thanks for tuning in. Have you subscribed to the channel yet? If not, please consider hitting subscribe right now. And of course, please don't forget to like and share. The word understanding means many things. It could be an understanding of the past, an understanding of facts. But what I want to talk about understanding is how we can learn to be more understanding people. So we all hear there's a he said, she said, two sides of the story, and somewhere in between is the truth. But the reality is, by getting to understand somebody and what they've gone through in their life, it will help us understand why they do and say the things they do. So I want to give you an example, using myself, of course, because who's best to illustrate it? Put myself under the bus, right? When I first lost my vision and became paralyzed on the left side, I learned very quickly it was going to take me a lot of time to do certain things, because I only had use of one hand and limited vision. So I had to learn to understand myself, to be patient with myself. I also noticed that in my mind, things had to change. So I needed to allow myself time to prepare. Whether it's simple things as getting ready for the day, so showering, getting dressed, getting ready to go out. And what that involved for me, before I could easily get ready in half an hour. Jump in the shower, get dressed, do my hair and makeup, and good to go. Off I went. But after becoming paralyzed, showering and dressing took twice as long, if not longer. And it's very stressful. First of all, you got to make sure the clothes aren't inside out, that you don't use conditioner instead of shampoo, all of those little factors. So I had to understand that I had to learn to adjust my timetable. So instead of half an hour, it now takes me 2 hours to get ready every morning. So people might say, why do you wake up so early in the morning? Well, I had to learn to understand myself of what worked. And I probably still could get ready within an hour, but I wouldn't have the buffer. And what I mean by buffer, I mean that time, if something goes wrong and I've accidentally washed my hair with conditioner instead of shampoo and it's greasy, I can jump back in and fix it. Or if my clothes are inside out, I can change them around. Giving that buffer of time allows me to not be as stressed. What's hard for other people to understand is why I do all those things. So not only does it physically take me longer to get ready, but it also mentally stresses me out if I'm not ready in enough time. I want to be ready before time so I can sit, relax, and focus my mind to do what I need to do for the day. So my husband always laughs at me because I always put my shoes on hours before I'm going anywhere. And he's like, why do you do that? Well, that's because then I feel like I'm ready. I can go. That's a small example. But the other factor is we may do things out of habit because of something we've experienced that others may not understand or realize. So sometimes as individuals, we may have to communicate these reasons to others. But not everybody is going to be as understanding. My family took a long time having to adjust to the changes of me becoming someone with a disability. Not only was it hard for them to watch me experience the challenges I faced on a daily basis, but also my mind shift. And they had to have a mind shift as well to try and get an understanding of why I planned ahead. So for those of you who don't know, I plan every aspect of my day every day, and it drives people crazy. I plan everything from setting alarms when I have to get up, setting alarms when I have to do things, meetings I need to attend, taking a break, even to eat. I know it sounds crazy, but for me, if I plan out my day, I have control. And when you lose your vision or acquire a disability later in life, you feel like you don't have control over your life at all. So I need to take some of that power back. So my way of doing that is by planning. So I remember I was going on a trip with my sisters, and I was living at home at the time. and my sisters, I had asked them if they could get me my suitcase. And it was, I'm going to say 2 weeks before, no, a week before. Because I knew that it was going to take me a long time to pack. Because not only was I had to sort through what I was taking, make my lists, get the clothes ready, make sure they were washed and ironed, ready to go. And then to make sure everything fit in the suitcase. So I had asked for days for my sister to get me the suitcase. And they didn't. They thought, oh, we have lots of time, we're not leaving for a week. And they waited and waited and waited till the night before. And I was freaking out. And they had no idea why. Well, for me, my planning had all gone down to the hoops. And they got really upset and angry at the fact the way I was acting. But they were not trying to understand what I was dealing with. And it took somebody outside of the picture to explain to them what I was feeling. And they still to this day don't understand it. And that's okay, because they're not living in my shoes. The point of this whole story is that we have to listen to one another and try to understand why people do and say the things they do. There's a reason behind everybody's madness, as I call it. So the fact that I plan every aspect of my day and it's hard for me to go off that plan may drive people crazy. But for me, it gives me a sense of peace. It gives me control. And I don't need to plan everybody else's life, unless it involves me, of course. But I have to also understand that not everybody works that way. And I have to be flexible with that as well. So by understanding each other and by communicating our needs and reasons behind the things we do will help us, be open to understanding other people. There's so many people in this world, and a lot we will come in contact with and a lot we won't. And they may do things we will never understand, and they'll say things that we just can't believe they say. But there's got to be a reason. We may not know what it is today, tomorrow, or even the next day, or ever. But we have to be understanding to know that that is what works for them. Are you an understanding person? Do you pride yourself on listening to somebody, hearing them, not just listening, but hearing what they have to say and trying to look at things in a different light? Because perhaps it's not what you do, and perhaps it's not something you've ever experienced. But the more we expose ourselves to other people's scenarios and situations, the better educated we'll be. And then if we each had a little bit more understanding in this world, we would perhaps listen actively and make changes in the world that need to be. With all of what's happening in the States and around the world, with the discrimination going on, us as human beings have to be more understanding. And I'm not saying we have to understand it fully because we're not living it. But we need to listen and we need to hear and learn from the others' experiences. And we have to be understanding for how they're feeling and what they're going through. This is going to make us a better human being. And by being more understanding, this is the first step towards change. How can we change a situation we don't understand? And I'm not saying we're ever going to understand fully because we don't live it. Just like I would never expect my sisters to understand my experience fully because they'll never live what I live. But I encourage each of us to open ourselves up to being understanding, to listening more carefully, without bias, without judgment, just by listening. I heard somebody say yesterday that silence can be uncomfortable. But if we just listen to what we hear going on around us, we learn so much. I am going to challenge you today to be more understanding. Not just for your family and friends, but for society, people out there that you may never meet. Be understanding and educate yourself if you don't understand. If you don't understand something and you have questions, ask somebody, but ask the right person. Go to the source. Go to somebody that lives with it, whether it's a disability, with discrimination, whatever it may be, and ask the questions. Don't be offensive, and don't think that you know all the answers, because otherwise you wouldn't be in that situation. You're going to ask so you can learn and understand. If each of us was a little bit more understanding, what an amazing world it would be. So until next time, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like and share, and be understanding, please, for us as human beings to be better. Catch you next time.